Hey everyone, this is Bobo the Vulture, and it's time for more Let's Play Gran Turismo 2. I'm thinking it may be time to attempt to make our first big step up of the game. Let's exit from the save, let's go to the start menu, and if what I'm thinking is true, this will probably be a longish video. But, gonna try it anyway. We're gonna see how it goes. First of all, we're still in our prelude. Let's go to East City. Excuse me. Let's go to the Honda Shack. That's where it's at. Honda Shack. That's where it's at. We are going to get another set of racing slick tires. Some of you fans of the previous game may know what's about to happen. Not equipping the hard tires right now, but I've got hard tires. I don't have enough money to do that. Probably just leave it alone for right now. I already got a good muffler, right? How close to did I get the computer chip? I did get a computer chip. How close can I get to 290? 295. It's gonna add 9 horsepower. You can't increase displacement of this, can you? Alright, up to 279. That's nice. We can't afford this anymore, but how much would this get us up to? 286. Okay. Okay. That's good. You know what? We have enough. It's time to enter our first enduro. It's time for baby's first enduro. The Trial Mountain 30-lap endurance race. I think we can make it, folks. This is a race that I believe is set up for sort of amateur-level cars, even though it has an International B thing set up on it. Gonna do a test run because I can't recall now whether you get the you get to okay, lap 1. Yeah. Well, it doesn't say. I don't know whether or not we're going to get a chance to. Whoa. Oh no, the battery for controller 1 is low. This is not the right time for that to happen. Oh, but yeah, everybody, you all remember Trial Mountain, right? And now I've refamiliarized myself with Trial Mountain a little bit as well. And I'm gonna exit. I guess I don't know that actually settings, suspension kit, tire, wheel. Hard. Hard. They're hard knock tires. They are knock tires for us. Let me see if I can find the charge cable for this controller before I get involved in this extra long undertaking. Oh, my undertaking! It's gonna be extra long! It's an endurance race, folks. We're gonna be here a little while. But it'll be alright. I think. Well, I hope. Yeah. There we go. Sorry, just doing this so that... There. Now it's charging all on its own. And, yes. Tell you, it's a nice investment, folks. Of, a couple of bucks on eBay or someplace like that. But getting yourself a, excuse me, an extra long charge cable, it's well worth it. Now, time for the endurance race to start. And yeah, funnily enough, in the endurance races, they just start you as like rolling like, immediately, time to race, now, do it, go! Yeah, and my car, especially with my driving style, is probably still going to be kind of terrible on its tires because the suspension and everything is probably still set up for a less powerful car than what it actually is right now. There we go, carry that through the corner. Okay. Obviously not hitting my marks, cutting the apex of all of these corners as you get told in the Junior Woodchuck guidebook of how to race the cars. But at this point, as long as I can be comfortably faster than the other cars, and I feel as though I'm not going to be, like having to change tires more often than them, I'm willing to not run a perfect race, like the fastest race possible. I'd be far happier to run a race where I'm not going to spin out or something. But, to go from 6th to 1st in one lap, it's probably a good pace. And yes, you could definitely run this race faster than this, and, as you may remember, and I know certainly there were a lot of people that were sort of reflecting on their own Gran Turismo memories of some of the endurance races from the first game, of just like, oh, I'd pick this car or that car, and like, it would just be a matter of how many times I could lap the entire field. Haha! And it's true, you can definitely do that in Gran Turismo 2. Of course, here, with a horsepower cap in this race, it's probably a little more difficult. Also, for an endurance race, this is actually pretty short, only 30 laps. So the question is, do I think these tires can last 15 and only do a one-stopper? Or do I want to just set them out at 10 and do it as two-stopper? Car is sliding around a good bit. I keep on getting the entry into that turn very wrong. That's alright. The key here is sort of just to stay consistent and not go too nuts. You don't want to make mistakes, basically. You don't want to make big mistakes, I should say. And obviously, like I said, I'm not hitting all these corners perfectly. You could say that's a mistake. But basically, don't want to push it too hard. Don't want to push it too far. Don't want to push it too hard. Alright. We're still moving along strong, so that's good. Go. This car is actually more willing to turn than I am giving it credit for most of the time. It's just something that I'm being nervous about because it is a front-wheel drive car. Front-wheel drive cars are prone to understeer, where, you know, like if I wanted to turn left and I hit the little controller left, the car will only go a little bit left, but mostly just keep on going straight. If you've got too much, you know, power going down at the same time. Basically, when you apply acceleration in a car like this, it'll push the car out towards the outside of the turn. Anyway. But this car is actually much better about that than I am, than the way I'm driving it. I could be driving it more aggressively, probably. Or at least, you know, turning it harder than I am. I keep doing these light taps on the control pad as opposed to, like, really cranking it or whatever. There we go, I tried to carry too much speed through those sweepers, and that almost qualifies as a mistake right there. And I do notice that the guy in second place, I'm not really, like, gaining on him in any kind of leaps and bounds. He's still lurking. He's ready to take advantage of my poor little prelude at any time. I'm not sure I appreciate it. I do enjoy the Trial Mountain track, and I think one of the things that might be one of the things I really enjoyed about Gran Turismo 2 is that you have a chance fairly early on, and it's a thing that you can go back and do again. Like, I might run another Trial Mountain endurance race later on, just because there's big cash prize and there's cool prize car. And it's not like... A lot of these are like, oh, this is the most challenging race that you'll ever face. So yeah, it's the most challenging race you'll ever... It's... You know, this is the first time I'm doing it, and the first time I've done an endurance race in a while. It's the first time I've done this particular one in many, many a year. So naturally, I'm a little bit tentative. But it is an event that... It's not actually that difficult. I mean, I'm probably making a bigger deal out of it right here, right now, than I have to. Because now that I'm sort of starting to get into a rhythm a little bit, and I think all the other, like, computer drivers are establishing their own, like, race rhythms, average speeds, or whatever, I think I am starting to pull ahead of the other computer guy. So, hooray for me. Gotta be careful jumping that curb. A little bit will get you pivoted nicely. Too much will get you pivoted very unnicely. Take that as a case in point. Getting a little too upset there with the car. Now I'm beginning to wonder whether or not I needed to get the super hard tires at all, because I think on the front well, it's probably just as well. We'll see how their overall heat cycle goes. I think like yellow is sort of like their prime area. Maybe green is supposed to be their prime area, but I feel like these will be able to go 15 laps. We'll see what everyone else does in terms of tire changes. 'Cause that's the one thing I don't want to do. I don't want to be in the lead here, doing fine, and then stop early and have to take an extra pit stop, and that be basically the thing that allows the second place guy, and potentially everybody else. I don't know how many times they're all planning on stopping. It's a game of human chess. Larry Zbyszko is like sitting in the stands there. He's one of those brightly colored dots. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Larry Zbyszko being one of those brightly colored dots, and it distracted me. If you know who Larry Zbyszko is, and you ever watched the show WCW Saturday Night, and listened to his commentary about, like... He generally referred to, like, psychology and wrestling matches as that game of human chess. So that's why I will occasionally think of, you know, when you're talking about strategy, I'll think about it as the game of human chess. And of course think about Larry Zbyszko. That time of year, and young men's thoughts turn to Larry Zbyszko. I mean, depending on the man that you are, maybe. He is the living legend. This is actually going quite well. When I initially picked this car out, I wasn't thinking at the time, like, oh, I bet this car I could sort of, like, bit and piece into a good shape of tune for the first big, long endurance race. I hadn't actually thought that far ahead yet. And again, I apologize to any Prelude haters out there, because I had sort of, when I picked this up as my second car, I'd completely forgotten that I did use this same car pretty heavily in the previous game, in the playthrough of Gran Turismo 1 that I did. I just think they're neat. And they are pretty good cars in these games. Oh dear, something just occurred to me. And a bigger pro than me might edit this out, but I'm gonna be back in a second. Haha, you just sit. Alright, let's continue. Let's not exit. I feel invested in this at this point. But yes, in case any of you are curious, I basically had to go change the thermostat because the heater was starting to go at an absurdly high full blast. Which it doesn't really need to. It is cold, a little on the chilly side where I am right now, but it's a basement slash den for one, and for another, it's December. In this hemisphere, that means it might be a little cold. Well, you know, if you're not on the equator, which I am not. Yeah, see, this is the thing I wanted to avoid. Mistakes like that. Let that guy catch right back up. Is that the sign that the fronts are starting to get worn down, or is it just a sign that I lost concentration there after that short break to go adjust the thermostat? Now we'll see how much longer this lap is than the last one. 145, 144 before that was actually a pretty good lap. My best lap being a 142. Obviously this lap's going to be far longer because I did the majority of a spin in it. Actually, is only longer by a couple of seconds. That's not bad, all things considered. I just need to calm down, maybe tap the brakes and settle the car before I start throwing it into spins. I mean turns. I should not throw it into spins at all. Okay. Let's not, like, actually, stall the car because I'm slowing down that much. But yeah, let's maybe not... Let's get our braking done before we turn. That way the car will be nice and settled for the turn itself. Alright. Having a hard time comparing sector to sector, lap to lap, because I'm also attempting to sort of drive the car. I think a lot of times in races, maybe not at this level since, this would seem to be very grassroots, but like, in actual racing you'd have a guy on the radio who'd be telling you, like, oh, that lap was faster, that lap was slower. That lap is about on par as to my race pace, it seems like. That all seemed like a pretty good line. This is not bad. This is not a bad little... It's not a bad little lap I'm sort of tying together here. Feels quick. It feels clean, which generally would mean that it would be quick. We'll see what it is in the end, though. Of course, this turn, I never do get right. Oh, 117, that seems to be about the same. Now, of course, what may end up happening is that no one else brakes for tires at all. They all have, like, magical tires that go on eternally. Well, not my new fast lap, but definitely a faster than many of the previous. But you can see the tires are starting to get red. That means they're getting hot, hot, hot. So I need to replace those pretty soon. I've never experienced it, so, I mean, I guess it's possible that it's in the game, and I've just always been good about avoiding it. I don't believe that you can ever get the tires to such a bad state that they actually, like, deflate and your car can barely move or anything. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, and, there is a way, I think, that you can, like, put on simulate damage in this game, and, like, if you hit the wall with one side of your car will start to handle funny or something. But it doesn't actually, like, show battle damage or anything like that. Oh yeah, those fronts are getting cooked. You can hear the car squealing through a lot more of the lap now. Even slight changes of direction will now cause the tires to go... Though that said, who knows? Maybe this will be another super fast lap. It is not. It is a 45. I just had to downshift there. Yeah, this is not a good lap at all, then. Yeah, these tires are gone. I need to get in on these bad boys. Oh, it's not actually telling me? I think in the third or fourth game, at some point in time, they actually start telling you, oh, the car that was in third place, or this car, or that car, whatever, is gone to the pits. And it would, like, give you a little, like, oh, hey, here you go. Just so you know, this is the car. Your second place car is now gone into pits to change tires and stuff. Be like a message would flash across the screen, like where Sector 2 is there, like roughly around. Sort of blink ahead of you that way. But yeah, I definitely need to go in and get these tires replaced. So I'll be doing that at the end of this lap, which will be the start of lap 15. It'll be like lap 1. I'm not sure now, thinking about it off the top of my head, whether that means that the math will put my first set or my second set at having to run a longer distance. But limited speed. Gonna stop in and get some new tires. Pit work's in progress, so mind that. Oh my gosh! Guy's right behind me! Ready to go! He's behind me, he's gonna stay behind me. But that's how close it is, folks. He was not very far from me back there. Right, so, gotten through the potentially treacherous part of this race. Well, potentially treacherous part of this race. Part the first. The tire stop. Now basically the concluding part of the race will also be difficult because we're going to have chewed up tires. Okay, I did not need to slow down nearly that much for that turn. Good to know on the heads up. I'm just going to drive fairly conservatively from here on out, see whether or not I can save these tires a little bit. I say, and then go into a four-wheel drift. But okay, so we're past the halfway point here, and things are looking good. We've been consistently in the lead since the first lap, although we haven't exactly put a big gap on the rest of the field, which I guess is in theory how it's supposed to be, right? You shouldn't, if you're able to completely lap everybody, imagine if you were paying ticket person, like Larry Zbyszko, who I determined earlier was apparently in attendance at this race, talking about how tire strategy was a game of human chess. It's not going to make any sense unless you are somebody who watched like NWA or WCW wrestling in like, you know, the 70s or 80s. Or I guess listen to WCW color commentators in the 90s. Alright, a 42. Apparently I'm ignoring all of my own advice about not overdriving a car. And being like, woo, look how fast I can keep going through this section. Squeal, squeal. Sound of the tires, by the way, in case you were wondering what sound that was simulating. It's just a nice little pleasant, relaxed drive in the country, everybody. In a prelude that was like 1/3 times as fast as any prelude that came out of the Honda factory. Well, 1/3 plus, really. Well, this vintage, they may have made more powerful preludes in the next iteration, but I kind of feel like they weren't as big a thing. The 90s were a big time, the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s were a big time for Japanese sports cars, and then it's a combination of factors. There was a raft of new regulations that came in on new cars in the United States. So that prevented a number of cars from continuing to be imported. A lot of them also weren't doing as well in sales in the U.S. market for whatever reason. But in the mid-90s, there was a bunch of different new bits of legislation. There were mandatory side impact beams, good for safety, might have, you know, required a redesign of doors and side panels to cars. There was a whole revamping of onboard diagnostic systems that you might have to reprogram a car's computer systems for to match up with that. And of course, back home in Japan, they were beginning to get, you know, they were at the beginning of a big depression. Well, not depression, but they had a long recession in Japan in the 90s. So naturally, things didn't go as well for Japanese sports cars then, because recessions are not the time that people are going to buying sports cars. Whoa, 140 dead. Kick ass. A friend of mine occasionally uses the phrase that kicked a dick, which he apparently uses as a phrase to apply to something that was pretty cool and almost kicked ass but didn't quite kick ass, so it kicked a dick. To me, kicking a dick sounds like that just means like it's a terrible thing. I came up and tried to kick you in the dick. That's not good at all. I mean, somebody kicking you with the ass, I guess, is also not good, but I don't know. Kicking ass makes it sound like it's something that's tough and cool and was able to win in a fight. If you say something kicked a dick, it just makes it sound like it was fighting dirty, you know? That's not the way that people want to be thought of in their combat scenarios. Anyways, I'd be curious to find out if any of you viewers at home ever heard or used the phrase kicked a dick before. So, you know, leave your comments below. And as a general note to people that are leaving comments now, either timestamps or at the very least some context as to what somebody is saying in a comment. And I'm not saying this, oh, 141, man. Pretty consistently good laps. Not super consistent, but yeah, these are getting to be my best laps right now. Sorry, I was getting really focused on how beautiful that line was, and then of course I screwed it up. So by the time I did that, I'm like, okay, now I can start talking again. No, I'm not saying this as a criticism of how people have been leaving comments to me specifically, but it is something that I'll have noticed once or twice before, and certainly I'll have heard other people, you know, talk about in their own videos when, like, they get a comment that doesn't make any sense to them. But, like, if you leave me a comment that says, I've never heard that before to this video, and this video will be probably not an hour, but it'll be very long. It'll be a long video for one of my videos. I tend to try and chop them up a little bit, but as you've known, I will do the enduros and sometimes the individual championships all in one video, just, you know, keep things a little bit neat and tidy, new and tasty. But if in response to, hey, have you ever heard anybody use the phrase kicked a dick before, you just leave a comment on this video that says, no, I haven't, or yes, I have, I won't remember that this is the video where I asked people, hey, have you ever heard the phrase kicked a dick before? Now I'm just using it a lot because it's now, like, I never actually had said it aloud before. Like, he would, you know, like, occasionally, like, mention it in, like, a chat or something like that. He was like, that kicked a dick. I'm like, what? What are you talking about, kicked a dick? And I say use this in chat because, I mean, he's a former, like, work associate. And we're friends, we've hung out, you know, outside of work and stuff. But, you know, like, when most of your conversation is with somebody in a workplace environment, they might not use the phrase kicked a dick, even if it's something that's part of their regular vocabulary. They're just, like, at the office, like, oh, yeah, you know? Oh, yeah, do you know how, you know, that thing that we were all working on yesterday and we managed to get it all done on time and everything? That kicked a dick. It's not necessarily the way that somebody would discuss it anyway. And I might say, like, no, I beg to differ. I think that was so exceptional that it actually kicked ass. It's like, no, it kicked a dick. It was not good enough to kick ass. Respect. And then we get into a big fight. Well, I'm getting close to lapping somebody. Be interested to see who. And to see this lap time, another 142. I would imagine in the near future these laps are going to start to go off. That's interesting. I thought I was close to lapping somebody. Perhaps that person went in to stop for tires just as I was catching up to them. That would appear to be what's happened. So maybe the person behind that person, too, is also somebody that I'll lap. Maybe I'm actually really far ahead of all other cars. I do not want to take that for granted, though. I do not just want to assume, yeah, no, I'm probably fine. All these other cars are probably just, like, way behind. I've probably lapped everybody. I don't want to do that. I don't want to wait for the race to be over. This is going to be exceptional, guys. This is going to be really special. I mean, you were there for Gran Turismo 1. You know that they're not playing around when they give out prizes for these endurance races. Well, I feel like at least maybe, I can't remember all of them, but I feel like at least one or two of the prizes in that game were not fantastic. I don't know how going off-road will affect your tire wear in this simulation. You know, this simulation suit. No, but in this particular game. In real life, obviously, going off of road with your tires, yeah, that wasn't a good lap. May wind you up with, obviously may wind you up with getting debris on your tire that causes your tire to puncture. It certainly, at the very least, gets a bunch of dirt, dust, mud, whatever, on the tire, so the tire loses traction until all that stuff is sort of spun or worn away. Or scrubbed off onto the track, where other people will run over it, and then they'll lose traction. It's a weapon! It's a weapon that you have to be affected by more than anybody else. So it's probably not a good weapon to use. Don't think about, like, I'm gonna run off and kick up dirt everywhere as part of my strategy. This is part of my strategy. Also, you shouldn't bring Feather Fan with you into the car anyways. Zhuge Liang, this is not the place for your strategies. Very well. On this third pit stop, I will allow you to receive new tires. That's actually a terrible strategy. Stopping 3 times and only get tires once. No way. I suppose it's in theory possible that is a good strategy depending on the rules of an event. And at this point I don't know whether the blather is entertaining or irritating. If it's irritating, I mean, I honestly don't know why you'd be watching the video. I can't imagine that there's that much that you're learning about my technique, or about how to play this game from, like, my driving technique or whatever. I mean, honestly, if it's a driver who is selecting automatic transmission, I mean, I will drive with manual transmission when I am just ordinarily sort of, like, playing the game and I'm not doing an LP. I kind of find that one extra thing, the, like, walking and chewing bubblegum extra step that just causes me to not be able to concentrate on talking. As difficult a time as I already have while playing this game, attempting to do that. But honestly, anybody who is selecting automatic transmission and driving around and showing gameplay of this game using automatic transmission, you should dismiss their ability to drive the car out of hand. Selecting your own gears is always going to be a better way to go in terms of you know, like getting faster times and stuff. It's not enough of an impediment that you can't, you know, like win the game without mastering the ability to shift for yourself, as we will probably be putting on display here. But, you know, it is a little bit easier and faster controlling the car that way. Yep, the lap times, well, 142 was not bad. I think my lap times will probably start suffering in the near future. I guess there's only 5 more laps, so as long as we can make them count. But yeah, in Gran Turismo 1, I can't remember specifically what all of the giveaway cars for endurance races were. There might have been one. Was there one that was like a Sprinter Truino Apex or something like that? One of those, like, cars that are really famous in Japan because people like to drift them, but weren't like especially super fast or powerful. It's just that they were cheap rear-wheel drive cars, and so everybody was like, oh my god, I gotta get out there and drift this thing. Maybe I'm imagining things, or maybe that was a grand prize car for a, like, tournament that I thought deserved a better grand prize. And it begins. There's the first car getting a little bit, grip unhappy. Oh, sorry, I think I just clouded the microphone there. My apologies. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, we did see that the, like, grand prize for this is, like, something in the six figures. I think it was 150,000 credits, right? And you got to imagine that there's some kind of super cool racing car that you'll get for this, too. Well, hopefully a super cool racing car. If not a super cool racing car, at least a super cool car. We can maybe take and go enter a few other kinds of races and stuff, see how that's doing. Again, and maybe it's this whole, like, I'm thinking about the game as a game of human chess. But, like, I remember one of the things that I got obsessive about at one point, and at one point, especially playing Gran Turismo 1, and then for Gran Turismo 2, I saw the variety of different cars that you could get and just do stuff with, and that totally, like, had me charmed, and I was okay just checking that out. But there's this whole, I've had the idea before of, like, I wonder, like, what would be the minimum, like, sort of viable route that you could go, and just, like, getting your one car at 10,000 credits, winning everything that was possible to win with that, and then taking a prize car from that, and with the winnings that you got, you know, rather than, like, I'm gonna go buy a car or win this one championship a bunch of times and just earn cash. I was always wondering, like, is there a car that you could just, like, go out, win a tournament with, and then, you know, take the prize car from that, take the winnings that you got, and soup up one or the other of them to go enter another tournament. So that basically the only car that you ever bought was your first car. And you never had to, like, repeat races. I was always curious, I was like, geez, I wonder if you could do that. And what route you would have to take, like, what car would you have to get, and then what tournament would you have to win, and what modifications would you have to make to which car in order to make it fast enough to compete the next round, and so on. I don't know that it is possible, and probably attempting to do that would be counter to the whole spirit of the game, just going out and exploring and doing laps and fun stuff. But as you can see, my front tires are Texas toast. They're delicious, but gonna try and hang on to them. Yeah, we may lose a second or two here or there per sector now, but we've only got 3 to go here. As long as we can avoid dying or spinning out and getting stuck. That's one thing. There's a couple things about this track that I especially enjoy. One of them, it just seems to have a good rhythm slash flow slash whatever zen to it that I can get into. Another is it feels open even though it's not really in most places. I mean, there's obviously a little bit of open grass out here, and there's a big section where, like, it won't actually help you because you're going over grass and you'll slow down. But you could take a big shortcut from right here. You could just cut it left and just go across this and not worry about maneuvering through that S-bend. And yeah, but like there's, I guess in some of the rock formations you can sort of get like jammed, but there's no like, oh, I'd spun a little bit and now I'm in a giant sand trap that it will take me a long time to get out of. Which it's funny now that I think about it, because I remember recently I was sort of bemoaning the fact that a lot of circuits anymore are, a lot of circuits out there in like sort of the real world of racing, the conventional wisdom for like runoff areas, because you wanted areas that weren't part of the track, that weren't like a solid wall, because a person would drive into a solid wall and crash the car and they would quite possibly be killed. So you wanted a place for them to like drive off to, and a lot of times it was just like, oh, you drive off and there's like just more grass there or something, and there's just, hopefully there's a little bit of just gentle terrain there, and then maybe there's some tire barriers before you get to like a hill or a tree or something like that, and there's like a safety fence or something. But in some places where they knew that you would be going especially fast, they would try and put something there specific to slow you down. Commonly there would be like sand or gravel or something. You know, sort of like a hazard in a golf course almost. Not to like, oh, punish the driver necessarily, just in that it would slow down the car a lot faster because the car would be maybe heading into that part of the track at a very high speed. And there wasn't, you know, like, if you just let the car keep going, it would just sort of start just like sliding off on this grass forever. It wouldn't be able to slow down because, of course, you don't have a whole lot of traction on grass. But I guess in a sense it did punish the drivers for going off of the track, which, you know, is that necessarily a bad thing? They're supposed to stay on the track. Nowadays, a lot of circuits are putting paved areas out there that are not actually part of the track, and so they're like a rougher pavement, or they're just like marked in a specific way, like, no, this is not the place you're supposed to be driving, so that the driver can sort of keep control of the car. And I remember for a while I was grumbling about it. One, it sort of takes away some of the, like, you know, grass, sand, sort of natural element feel to racetracks. But then again, racetracks are already these big ribbons of asphalt with fences and grandstands all over them, so it's not exactly a walk in the park to begin with. So I guess there's that. And it's like, well, maybe I did kind of like the idea that driving off the track was punished by you having to slow down a bunch. Now you're just like, oh, I went off the track. And yes, we won! Running, 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 run. Okay, so I only lapped one car. Let's see how close that Peugeot got in second place. Also, my tires are so shot that the computer AI that drives your car for you after you cross the finish line can't drive my car. The Peugeot was 20 seconds behind me. 20 seconds. I'm not watching that whole replay. What are you, crazy? I like that they give you the idea. Like, of course you want to watch that, don't you? You want to sit down and relive that entire hour, nearly. So, what do we get out of it? $150,000. And a new car. I'm not going to save the game. I'm just going to hope I don't get a power outage in the next, 10 seconds. While I go over to see what the new car is and close up this video. Because as I said, I've had problems with recording before. Of course, you know what? Even if I do have a problem with this recording, I might be tempted to save this anyways. And still run through this endurance race again so that you all can see what happens in it. But, holy crap, Zachary Dean, you're just being ridiculous right now. And at all times. Denso Supra GT 99. Okay, looks like I could go race in, the Pacific World Championship now, if I so desired. If that was my desire. So, yeah. That's kind of a step forward, isn't it? Do they give you info on the special editions? Oh, in this case they do. The All Japan GT Championship began in 1993. The Super GT has entered it every year since 1994, and in 1997, after growing faster with age, finally defeated arch-rival Skyline GTR to win the series championship. Yeah, so this is basically... You know how I was saying the late 80s, early 90s were a heyday for Japanese sports cars? Much like the, mid to late 60s were a heyday for American sports cars, like the muscle car. It was like the Challengers and Corvettes and Mustangs of yore, which was why that was the heyday of the Trans Am. This is the All Japan GT Championship would sound very much sort of like a Japanese Trans Am. But anyways, yes. It's based on showroom Supra models, but has been modified to the full extent allowed by the regulations. These many modifications are designed to achieve race-winning performance by bringing out the car's full potential. Its body size, scrupulous weight reduction measures have shaved off every excess ounce. Amazingly low, 2,420 pounds, the minimum allowed. In place of the showroom Supra's inline 6-cylinder power unit, the Super GT contains the same engine used by Celica in the World Rally Championship. So, not really that based on a showroom Supra, is it? But yes, it's a turbo 4-cylinder positioned as far back in the engine as possible, generating 465 horsepower. And there, sequential 6-speed, has the same double wishbone front and rear suspension as the standard model, but has longer arms and numerous Group C components mounted to the steel chassis. Yeah. Alterations cover every aspect of the car's design. The driving position is further back than the standard Supra for better weight distribution. This is the ultimate in modified cars. There is no more modified, no better modified, no modified-o-tastic car out there than this. Zachary Dean is not on my lap but in my lap now, so I actually can't move. And he's curling around. He's not a lap cat, folks, but he's being that way right now. So I can't move. I was going to close down this video, but I can't actually stop the video without being able to switch my television, which I can't do by remote control. It is a failing of the aftermarket remote that we got. Sorry, buddy. I had to get up. You can come back and we can do more hanging out with the cat later, but I gotta shut off this video because I've been having enough problems with this setup. And it looks like it did. It's still recording, I think. Yay! This is Bobo the Vulture. This is Let's Play Gran Turismo 2, and we just tore this game wide open. See ya!